Good morning, Lagos, and thank you for staying with us. You're tuned in and listening to Smooth 98.1. This is Smooth Breakfast with Ayo.
And Valentine.
And it is time for us to go into detailed analysis of the newspaper stories this morning. The segment is called Freshly Pressed 981. And if you want to send messages, please add this hashtag to your tweets. Is hashtag freshly pressed 981.
You can also send us a message on WhatsApp. The number to send that message to is 0809 444 0981. We're also streaming live on YouTube /Smooth 981 FM. So please, you can go on there and watch us and leave your messages there, and we will be taking your messages as well.
And joining us this morning are three gentlemen for Monday morning analysis. We have Tunde Okufi at Big Cubes. Good morning, Tunde.
Morning, Valentine.
Thank you for joining us.
Morning,
Morning,
And also Wade. Wade is at Re-Inc. Niger 2017. Good morning, Wade.
Good morning, Valentine. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Lagos.
Good morning. And not forgetting Fred, Mr. FB Allison. Hi, Fred.
Good morning.
How's your weekend, man?
It was good.
Fantastic. Lagos, if you're ready, let's get into the stories. We'll start with Fred. I'll come to you with this story from the Guardian newspaper. PDP wins in Benue, Bauchi, Sokoto, APC takes Kano, Plateau. That's from the Guardian. We see different reactions. It seems like every other candidates or the candidates who did not quite make it all had issues with the results. But what are your thoughts regarding the story?
Yeah, it seems like we're back to the season of tribunals and going to court, to prolong, the results of the different elections.
To prolong or to contest?
But it now prolongs it. It now
process.
changes the cycle. They will have different elections being had at different times. That was our reality for a while. Then it all leveled up with the 2015 elections, and now it seems like we're getting back to this cycle again.
All right.
Right.
You have a question?
Well, yeah. I was watching the result announcement, and just a number of people were a bit concerned about last weekend's supplementary elections, and they talked about violence. Unfortunately, it almost seemed like we still had a repetition of the violence in the reason why it was postponed in the first place. Particularly the outcry in Kano State when the results were being announced. We had party agents almost causing a bit of a ruckus in the whilst the results were being announced. How do you think this could have played out better? Of course, we know that unfortunately during elections, there'll be winners and losers. The losers would probably say that they'll go and contest this in tribunal. But do you think that we would ever get to a point in Nigeria's election where it will be so free and fair that there would be no need, as it were, to contest it or to challenge it so vigorously?
Yeah, so I feel like, and I always want to be positive about Nigeria, but I feel like we just we've digressed, from all the advancements we made in 2015.
Yes.
And I think it kind of was instigated with that postponement. That postponement really eradicated a lot of trust that was in the system and started, building room for all this effects and all these reactions that we're seeing, and then so we've gone back to the times where we're speaking about ballot box, stealing or snatching, stuffing ballot boxes, violence, and able to discourage the actual voters from coming out and all of these things that we used to see in the past. So obviously, as a positive thing in Nigeria, now we want to see this improve, but it all starts from the INEC in itself, how they approach the elections, how monies are disbursed to them, the autonomy that they enjoy, and all of that.
All right, let's hope in the near future that we are more trusting of our authorities, our institutions that are set up to carry out certain functions, because I feel like it's a matter of largely trust and different activities that are inimical to the progress of the nation. Well, let's move on to this next story. This one is from the Guardian newspaper, and I'll come to you for your analysis today. EFCC declares NIA ex-DG, wife wanted. As the former Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ayodele and his wife Olashade, in connection with the Ikoyi laundered funds.
Yeah.
It was discovered 13 billion naira.
Yeah, about 13 billion naira. The story that sort of launched whistleblowing into the national consciousness as a viable,
Means of income.
So, quite interesting. To be honest, I'm sorry not to be cynical, but the entire story sort of makes me feel like yawning. When I read it, I just had this. I just felt like yawning because it was. Imagine when that's happened, all the noise that is generated, all the heat that is generated. Imagine if all that heat had been put towards resolving this issue, right? But things are flying past in the press, things are happening in the newspaper, but actually nothing has really happened to help, bring those who are in the wrong accountable. To be honest, so it leads to questions as to where exactly are Ambassador Oki and his wife. Are they at large, or have they just the EFCC isn't particularly clear on that? They've just now declared them wanted. Usually that's in relation to when people can't be found, so perhaps that is the case. To me, it seems pretty much open and closed. When money was found, initially nobody wanted to claim it, nobody wanted to touch. Then NIA puts their hand up and says, hey,
don't touch that money.
Don't touch that money. This money is for us. It was one of the very few times I'd even heard of the NIA, and I question and I wonder what exactly they do. We have all these shadow government agencies,
seemingly shadow.
collecting all sorts of, imagine this sort of amount, being present or being managed or handled by the NIA. And you can imagine that there are a bunch of other ones. Why is it secret? If you're the national intelligence, goodness, we know the CIA.
Exactly.
We know the
FBI.
You can even say the FBI is a police force, it's a federal police force, so it can be more public. But CIA is, they don't hide who runs the place.
We know about the SSS, and it's meant to be the secret state.
Yeah.
Secret.
So what's NIA? What's NIA? All this duplication of
but then the central question I'm asking at this point is, shouldn't the EFCC have done their homework before now? Exactly when the uproar was the loudest, to find the location of this.
That's precisely that's why I was saying.
Yes. They were not
they
actually
didn't
lost.
use on that.
So they were. A bench warrant had been issued. Yes, and it was afterwards that they went abroad to Europe on medical grounds. And so, because they have refused to return back or to show up in court, they are now declared wanted. Exactly. Because when you've been summoned, you should appear, whether except you've gotten a court. Except you've gotten a court order, a court allowance to enable you fly out of the country on medical grounds. Okay. But unfortunately, they haven't sought that, and so they are
absolutely wanted. He was the former ambassador. He was ambassador to the Commonwealth. So he was based in London for a while. So he's probably just hanging out there, knowing that until he comes back, nothing will happen.
Well, it's interesting that this is getting our attention because Justice Chukwujeku Eneke of the Federal High Court in Lagos had on February 7th, 2019, issued an arrest warrant on the duo. That's the couple, consequent upon an oral application by the council from the anti-graft agency was filed. But anyway, we'll move on to follow this closely to bring you updates as they arrive. Let's go to this next story and discuss Wadi. This is from the Vanguard. Oyo governor-elect vows to review alleged 30 billion naira contracts award within 2 weeks. I don't know if I was the only one who had a reaction to the figure, 30 billion. But that's not the point. The important point there is the fact that he's been elected as the new Oyo State governor. He gets sworn in officially May 29th, but he's saying that, he had initially said he wasn't going to probe an ex-governor, but he's indicating that no civil servant who's found wanting.
Government is a continuum. So the man has 60 days. So technically, what transition program has been put in place by both parties, So that's the first thing he should be looking at. Who are the people talking to the government for them to have a transition period towards handover? If government has to work, if they have to give out contracts, they have to give out contracts.
Yes,
the amount might be mind-boggling at 30 billion, but if it's been marked to be given out, then they would do that.
So the issue here is the timing. Why award the contract now, within an election, when you have barely a few weeks to go? Why haven't you? Why? So the real question is, why wasn't this awarded before now? Why is it now that it's been awarded? Exactly. Oh wow.
Thank you, Tunde. Like I said, if the things that you need to do have to be done, you
Just in
put
time.
them. Yeah, you do them as at when they are supposed to be done.
Election or not?
Election or no election. But for me, the critical point for me here will be, what is the governor-elect doing with the transition team? How are they speaking to the other people? Because all these things, the documentations will be there, and like he's threatening civil servants who connive in illegal and strange contracts. Are they strange? Have you seen the contracts? Are they really strange?
But that statement
Are they
alone,
conniving?
it seems like a subliminal.
Oh yes, he already
statement to the governor himself.
Yeah, true, but also, how do you know that the civil servants will do their work, and their work is to put together the package for the contracts to go on? And if his governor has signed it, it's still the governor till the 29th of May. So when you come in, are you going to probe him? Yeah, probe. And if you find anything wanting, then you go ahead and prosecute if you need to.
I find it interesting that he uses the phrase civil servants because it speaks to a wider concern. I mean, we understand that we have these conversations often and we talk about systemic issues, structural problems in the civil service.
Yeah.
Do you perceive or anticipate that this will go beyond just one single person, the present governor, or go through to affect all the civil servants in the state?
Well, from what he's saying, it might affect all the civil servants in the state. But the truth about it is, if the civil servants have gone through the due process of putting those things together, there's really nothing you can do about it.
All right. Thank you, Wadi. Let's move on now to this next story from the Punch newspaper. But before that, let's take this message.
All right, Henry Dixon says 2015 election is the most peaceful, free, and fair in Nigeria. 2019 election is nothing but a war. The fight for political office should not be a do-or-die affair. And Debo also mentions that I really don't think it's about postponement because 2015 was postponed as well. Elections in Nigeria is all about winning. When you lose, you shout rigging. When you win, you're quiet. We're not just ready as a people.
All right, so let's talk about readiness and willingness to stick with your position or your post. Some INEC officials, the Independent National Electoral Commission in Rivers State, are considering applying for a transfer to neighboring states as a result of election violence. It says, so this is not a case of choice of location, it's a case of safety for human life. So this is from the Punch, but Tunde, let's weigh in on the story.
Valentine, would you choose to stay in your post
I'll give you
when the choice is between relocating from here and an address in heaven or wherever?
Here's how I'll answer your question, right? In 2011, 2012, I was an INEC official and I was assigned to Emoha.
Wow.
A very interesting experience. In the bush.
So let's all
Would you
praise
go back?
What?
Would you go back?
Please, let's
all praise to God that Valentine is with us here.
I'm here, exactly.
Yeah, that's all we can say. I'm sure he has it when he's thanking God for life. It's one of the memories.
I
that
always
flashes
remember
through.
that.
Deserve
Trust
a
me.
star for honestly, Val, for your duties to country and
But
nation.
it's in Rivers. It's appalling, to be honest. This Rivers epitome, or it's an epitome for when we say elections in Nigeria is do or die, really, and it's very sad. Not just on the day, even in the build-up. It's the case where I can't count the number of stories that I've read of a politician, a local, usually people closest to the ground, someone getting murdered. And it comes to the pages of the dailies when some sort of condolence visit is paid to his family. So it's not just the elections, but entire Rivers politics is rife with violence. So you can now imagine on the day the heights that it gets to, and the willing players and the willing individuals and people who are ready to wreak havoc. It's really sad. And to be honest, I don't know if there is a simple solution. I mean, one way the government has tried to do it is militarize. That's when they complain of why are Rivers elections so militarized. This is the reason, really and truly. But then militarizing it has its downsides as well, because the story points out. I'll have to add that allegedly, but it does say that, and from the video evidence we've seen, it's not hard to believe that the INEC official, that this woman, they're taking quotes from a Cordelia. She says that the reason why most of them want to change their jobs, and it's interesting to note that most of them are ladies, so kudos to the women who are the men from Rivers are staying far away from this business. She points out that the lady was allegedly shot by a soldier, and we hear all the stories of soldiers being engaged and used to perpetrate violence in elections in Rivers. We've seen the videos, we've we've seen them getting involved. They're supposed to be on, non-partisan.
Although that's
those are
been contested as to
it's-
whether
whether
they're
it's
true
or
identity.
not, true identity or not, whether they're real soldiers or they're
Or not.
impersonators,
Mhm.
whatever the case,
Mhm.
it's an issue for us. But that again is only possible when the election has been fully militarized. So it's not odd. So if and that's the case, then it's easy for people to put on military uniform, whether they're soldiers or not, and they will blend into the crowd because that's that's the general thing. It's unfortunate, but I mean we need to look for a solution to this. But other thing, I mean, a process issue that I noticed as a final, the lady was allegedly shot dead while she was transporting election materials to a registration area. Please, why is an ad hoc staff or why is any staff
Transporting sensitive
election
materials.
material?
Yes.
It should be security operatives who are trained.
Or even
again,
if
to
she's been
protect
assigned.
themselves.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Should be
or should
accompanied.
have protective detail assigned to her, not just being it's wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tunde.
All right, we have some comments before we move on to our next set of stories. Bengus here says, just to go back to Tunde's analysis of the NIA story, that Governor Wike of River State actually came out to claim to it, but couldn't prove how the
I
money
didn't get around
belongs
to
the state.
mention all the marriage. Everyone put their
Many
hands
people
up.
put, yeah.
Many-
So anyways, he says, for me, the first important thing has been done, which is forfeiting it to the government. The second step of prosecuting the offenders can now follow,
All
which
right.
is what we're talking about.
And then we have this next message from Martin from Amodofin in Lagos. It says, "Can INEC be punished if they're found wanting, and how can this be done?" Well, they can be sued to court. That's one.
Just one quick question on
Yeah.
the last comment. And it makes me wonder, like, when many people, the thought that came from when many people put up their hands to claim that money, they probably genuinely believe there was their money. It makes me wonder how much money is hanging around in that Ikoyi place. And I thought, oh, it's my own. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It's inside the next.
Wrong
No,
address.
mine is in
Yeah,
A.
The
I
next
just
will
wonder,
not
man.
be.
Please go door to door.
All right, let's move on to our next story in the Guardian newspaper. Now, good news for consumers as airlines, others face stiffer sanctions for consumers' rights violation. Now, this is according to the new Consumers' Rights Protection Act, otherwise known as the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act of 2019, which the president signed into bill in February, that they place stiffer sanctions in excess of 200 million naira. Fred, I'll come to you for this story.
Yeah.
Take us through this, please.
Yeah, so you said good news for the consumer, which is good. That because one of the sectors that this affects, because it's a blanket act across all the industries, but
Yes.
one of the sectors that it affects is the aviation sector.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the numbers there, stated in the article, about 60% of the flights are delayed, 10% are cancelled, and if anyone has been on any flight in
Did you say
Nigeria,
10% cancelled?
yes,
10.
yes.
All right.
But then,
Just wanna-
how many percent delayed?
Delayed.
60%.
60%.
I think it's higher than that.
I
but
was
then-
going to say that I'm sure if people send in messages, they would probably tell us otherwise.
You
But
know,
go on, please.
So this is anyone that's flown, has dealt with this issues, and and you don't get anything from the airlines. They don't come and apologize. They don't even update you. Sometimes you're sitting there for several hours. So in regards to this, in regards to improving the productivity of the consumers that are using the aviation sector, this is fantastic. But there are different views in regards to would this be favorable? Because the article actually speaks more about the aviation sector, right?
Yes,
Would this
it
be
does.
favorable for them? Because
Well, in addition to favorable, also how practical would it be?
how practical would
Yes.
it be? Because one of the things is that I wouldn't get I could cancel my flight because I'm sick,
Mhm.
and you know how easy it is for me to get. Anyone can get
I get-
like a sick note where you you get a sick note from your doctor that I wasn't able to make it. So those were some of the things, some of the challenges that are being cited by this thing, by the article actually. And so it's as I said, anything that continues to make the consumer feel more, that he's getting value for his money is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Well, just a few more details on the act. Now, what it will do is also to establish a consumer protection tribunal to hear cases.
Yes.
So, if you have been grieved by any service providing organization, private or public, you can actually go to this tribunal to get your matters heard. And then also, like what you're saying, the reason why the airline aviation sector had been flagged off was because it was in the past with the CPC Act, which this new Act has repealed, it was almost impossible to bring violators to book over basic rights. So to break it down or to make it easier, it means that if I buy my flight ticket, I get to the airport, and for reasons that are not due to natural causes or causes beyond their control, they delay their flights, I can drag them, using the words of many newspaper headlines, drag them to the tribunal, report them, and they could be fined up to 200 million naira. Yeah, go on.
And as an addition, that would be a better way to seek redress other than shouting at or fighting at the airport hold or the waiting area, because that's happened a lot in
but
recent times.
also we have to know that this Guys Act is covered across all the sectors, so
Yes,
they're going to
so
that's
not
another
just
thing they're going to be
aviation.
burdened too with, like, trying to make sure this is
right.
Honestly, I think it's good. Yeah, because I even think just beyond aviation, as the people were just abused. To be honest. And we've now become accustomed to poor and bad service, and we don't know what. And
we sometimes excuse it.
We excuse it.
Which is
not
surprising.
a lot. We excuse
This
it.
is Nigeria.
And just because we don't want to deal with the hassles of dealing with stuff.
I know somebody who's very passionate about customer service.
I am here.
You could hear it in her response.
It's good news. So, I mean, it's good news. The act is good news. However, what would be better news would be how effective it would be with regards to compliance and actually punishing those who are offended. Now, our next story is in the Vanguard. Wadi, I'll come to you for this. Stop allocating oil blocks to individuals, corporate bodies, Falana tells the federal government. Now, he tells them through a statement addressed to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What do you have to say about this?
His option is federal government and state governments. How can that be an option? Government has no business in doing business. And the first thing people have to understand is that when they talk about these allocations, it's not just I call Valentine or I call you and then dash them the oil block.
I wish that was it. Though.
I wish it was.
And I like that you mentioned our names.
Yeah, so I can.
like
Sorry,
it.
call my name in full. Valentine. Ohu.
Okay, Valentine.
Oil block.
Oil block.
In one sentence. Thank you.
And dash him the oil block.
Right.
These people pay monies for these oil blocks. That's what you call a signature bonus that is paid.
Okay.
It might be paid over a period of time, but if you don't pay, they take it away from you. That's one. Who has the money to invest in it? That's the next question. Does the federal government have the money to invest in it? Because we've seen all the ones, the JVs that they have with all the people have with NMPC, that NMPC has not contributed one kobo in God knows how long. For me, first thing is PIB. I continue to hound on the PIB.
The PIGB.
PIGB. And then take away the rights of allocation from one person, which is what has happened. And that's what the fight of the PIGB is all about. It's a major part of it.
Now, while I understand, so I'll come to you, while I understand you saying that government has no business in doing business, but here are some of the reasons why he's asked that it should be allocated to federal and state government. He said that in a situation where federal, state, and local governments depend on loans and bailout to pay salaries and carry out basic infrastructural development of the country, so thus by allocating oil blocks to a few individuals and corporate bodies, the federal government has violated Section 16, Section 2, subsection 2C, of the Constitution, which provides that the economic system is not operated in such a manner as to permit the concentration of wealth or the means of production and exchange in the hands of few individuals or of a group. So he's saying perhaps it could be a solution.
Yeah, but this monies come back to the federal coffers. It's shared among the 3 tiers of government.
Okay.
So I really don't understand. You give them the oil block, are they going to be the ones to manage that process? Do they have the technical expertise? Do they have the resources? Because these resources still come back to them. I don't know, I'm caught between the devil and deep blue sea on this. But for me, I still maintain that there's no need for government to be in this business. Let the people who can handle it. Put the right policies in place to get your monies back. Put the PIGB in place and we'll get there.
Okay.
Well, the PIGB is in place, but I mean, just to pass it really is the main question.
If you haven't passed, it's not law.
Right.
All right.
Big T sent in a message. It says elections are over. It's time to work. Both leading parties haven't stated their stand on the economy, housing, security, power, etc. Other nations in Africa like Ghana, Morocco, Tunisia, they're all laying groundwork for future greatness. We are still waving umbrellas and brooms around.
Trust me, they've completed their work. Election is their work.
Right.
Not to hold position for the next 4 years.
SOJ is asking.
Oh,
if-
it's the whole position.
SOJ is asking if there's anything in the Act sanctions cancellation notices just to bump off a flight. Interesting. We'll look into that, SOJ. This one is from Solomon. Solomon says, all I want to know is, do I, the aggrieved consumer, get a share of that fine? If not, I see it as a way of shouting and nothing comes off it.
No, not at all. It's for good service. So at the end of the day, if we're all getting good services, then I don't think money you can compare the amount of money you gain by that. But let's move on to
Yeah, so some you complain about bad service not just for yourself but for the next person. That's
Yes.
why we don't improve.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be saying what will
Not
do
for-
the next guy.
Not for now.
Okay, all right, Tunde, I'll stay with you for this one. Ex-IG Ehindero received 10% interest on police funds, and this is from the ICPC.
Yeah, and I mean let's just let's ruminate on the fact that this is a former chief or top law enforcement officer of the country, right? And this allegation is so obviously they're in court, and they have a witness. A testimony was being given by a witness to the prosecution, a banker. I wonder why they have him, front and center like this. Or even whistleblowers are not nice. I don't know, and he's just probably a prosecution witness. It's not like the story almost makes it look like he's the one that's brought the case forward, or he came to report it. No, it's the ICPC. Now, it's also confusing as to what amount is in question here, because it talks about the 10%, which is 10.3 million, right? But then it also says that somewhere down the line that the principal sum at the Ehindero had also asked that the principal sum be written to him by check in his favor, right? So are we talking about 10.3 million here? Or are we talking about 130 million? It's a little confusing, to be honest. If it was just 10.3, for me, word that comes to mind is spirit. I don't know how this.
30 million was he put in fixed deposit to the 10% interest on it, and so it was the 10 million that was written.
So this is the question: is it just the 10 million that he took? Because he said the witness said he asked the 10.3, the 10% to be paid to him in cash.
Yeah.
Difficult to trace, so to say, and then 10.3 be written as a check in his favor. Right, in his favor. That's ultimately still going to him. Still, so what are we talking about here? 10.3 or 130 million? Or 140.3. It's a little confusing. And if it's just 10.3 million, because I don't know how this will compare to his annual emoluments, but based on all the other things that he would have access to for the operations and running of the 10.3 looks like little money, which is then a question of discipline. And you wonder that is it? These guys were just grabbing for money and everything. Let's still say it's alleged because it hasn't been proven, but the evidence is overwhelming. And it is really embarrassing. And it's clear how easy it is to abuse process. How can what is supposed to be police funds be paid or be made payable to a single person's account? Right? It's just come on, it's like we're just playing in this country,
All right. Thank you very much, Tunde. But Fred, I'll come to you for this next story. Why I'm able to influence elections, says Tinubu from Premium Times. Just very quickly, tell us what your take from this story.
Yeah. So there's a group in Sokoto. They're accusing Tinubu and some other APC leaders for influencing the elections there. And then he's basically just coming back and saying that no, that all he does is just, because he's a veteran politician, he just, works with his influence amongst his party and all of that. Obviously, it's far from what we are rumored to know that, Tinubu can do and does do with elections.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's just he was responding to an advertorial in the media alleging that he met with the INEC chairman to influence the Sokoto state governorship rerun election in favor of the APC. So a group of well-meaning Nigerians in quotes had come out to put up that advertorial. Right, fine. Unfortunately, we cannot take our last story.
Yes.
But just as a way of mention, police arrest 77 for killing court clashes in Ajah, and that's the details can be found in the Punch statement.
All right, messages here. Ladi from WhatsApp actually says there are standard International Air Transport Association rules that guide the aviation industry as per passenger rights in the case of cancellations or delays. Government should look at this and not, as usual, make blind declarations on this. And Big T says, all blocks, we need to review the exclusive list of our constitution. God-given resources cannot be hijacked by the federal government alone. States and local governments should be given greater control of resources in their area. Also, individuals should benefit from such as well. Agitations in the Delta, I think he meant Niger Delta, should be greatly subdued if this is done. Thank you, Big T.
Now, Yinka says Inspector General receives 10%. Mary, come on, it's a workshop. Come on, it's a workshop. Where you work, you chop. Until we are ready to allow capital punishment, the reward for corruption, we ain't ready. Even Buhari, Mr. Integrity, ain't ready.
Oh, wow. All right, Lagos, we'll pick one of the stories and we discuss in detail at 9 o'clock, and that will be when we open up the phone lines for you to call in. But in the meantime, special thanks to our analysts who stepped in this morning for Monday morning analysis from Wade. Thank you so much. Ring Niger 2017 is his handle, and you can find Fred up on Twitter as Mr. FB Allison, and Tunde is at Big Coves. Lagos, join us next in 15 minutes as we talk sports inside of the locker room. Good morning.